It is a spooky Halloween weekend right here at the Elegant Home Podcast. Stay tuned. We're going to scare the heck out of you.
This is the Elegant Homes Podcast with your home improvement expert, Don Riley. Don gives you weekly tips on the biggest investment you'll ever make, your home. Plus, Don talks to industry's leading professionals to make your home elegant. The Elegant Homes Podcast with Don Riley is powered by Marshall Chevrolet in Carrollton, Kentucky.
Welcome back to another episode of Elegant Homes. I'm your host, Don Riley, where we make every home elegant, one home at a time. It is a happy and a spooky Halloween weekend right here at the Elegant Home Podcast. We got to sit down with Eric Sterwerf from the Mount Healthy Haunted Hall. These guys are unbelievable. They put on an unbelievable show, and we're going to sit down and talk to Eric. Eric, thanks for being here at the Elegant Home Podcast. We're looking forward to talking to you. And ladies and gentlemen, Eric Sterwerf.
Hello.
So, Eric, tell me where you guys are located.
We are the Mount Healthy Haunted Hall in Mount Healthy, Ohio. It's a suburb outside of Cincinnati, Ohio.
You know, Eric, I've driven through Mount Healthy quite a few times. I've really never seen this haunted house. How do we find you?
So, the hall is actually located in a neighborhood off of Compton Road in Mount Healthy, on Seward Avenue, 7700 Seward Avenue, to be precise. And the reason you don't see any like scary, spooky things all year round is because every September we build this thing from the ground up in 3 weeks. We build it up. We usually just have the hall for the rest of the year. But in September, it starts to get spooky really quickly, usually right after Labor Day, so that we can be open on time for the first weekend in October.
You know, Eric, one of the things I love about your mission is I love that you guys, and I just found this out, that you're a nonprofit too. You're a 501c. Tell us a little bit about your nonprofit, because I know my nonprofits are very important to me. I have Back Home Patriots, which we help veterans across the country. Tell us a little bit about your nonprofit.
When we originally started, they were looking for a fundraiser to do, the Knights of Columbus and 2 Boy Scout troops. And we heard of people like the JCs doing, making haunted houses and actually making quite a bit of money from those fundraisers. And they were very interesting and seemed to be a lot more fun than, just like selling popcorn or waiting outside of Kroger's with, a bell or something like that, even though we didn't do that. It's like an interesting, creative way that we can make money. And so they started doing that about 34 years ago, and it's grown a lot since then. But and every year we've been getting more and more money, which is great. And we haven't even raised our prices for the longest time. We had the same price for like at least 15 years up until this year. We actually raised it $2. But you can still bring a canned good in, and you get $2 off of your price. That canned good goes to the Mount Healthy Food Alliance as well. We've also throughout the years have had other charitable organizations or like just different groups who come in to work and help out, and they get a cut of the money we make. This year we have Tekin Farms helping us out. One of the original scout troops is no longer helping us out, but we did have another scout troop that's kind of interested, and they kind of had like a trial run year. And they haven't really showed up for any of the acting for the past 2 weeks. It might be a lot for them because this is like a really big project that we do every year. But, if they end up liking it, and hopefully they will, next year they'll be with us like full time. And if anyone else, any other groups that anyone knows of that are in the Cincinnati area are interested in making some money and helping us out, we greatly appreciate it, because a lot of us have been here for over 20 years, some of us all 34 years, and a lot of us are tired. But we still love doing it. We don't want to see it go away.
You know, when anybody ever has longevity, I'm really impressed. And you guys been doing this for 34 years. Unbelievable.
Yes, sir. Not me. I am 34 years old. So it's literally been here my whole life. But I've been doing it for about, I think, 26 years. Whenever 1996, 1997, however long ago that was.
You know, Eric, I know these things are timely, and I've put a lot of productions on, and I know it takes a lot, and it takes a team to do this. So tell us a little about what it takes to actually make this thing happen and pull this off. You know, I know electric can be expensive, so tell us a little bit about that.
When I heard that the Elegant Homes Exterior podcast wanted to interview us, I said, "You want to interview us? There's nothing about us that's elegant, but there's a lot of redneck ingenuity that goes into it. A lot of us, like, you know, we just bring like different skill sets from like all different walks of life. Rick, who's kind of making noise in the back there, he's our electric guy, and every year yeah, that's him right there. Every year he runs the electric and for us. So don't ask me how he does it. Like I don't think he shares his secrets, but a lot of times, like I usually put up the walls and make all the props and everything. There's just all sorts of things. Like not all of us do like physical labor jobs that are like, you know, or like trade jobs or anything like that. I'm not an electrician. I'm a maintenance guy. So like I know, you know, how to use tools and everything like that, and how to do some plumbing, how to do some electric. But I'm, you know, there's certain aspects I don't know. But everyone else around here, there's enough people involved that everyone has like a certain special skill set that allows us to let this thing keep running. So this year also, I've had to step back a little bit because, you know, I have 2 young children and 1 on the way. And also, one of our other guys had to step back a little bit because his wife was having some health issues. And we found out real quick that there are certain things that both of us do that people depend on that, you know, no one else really knew about. Like something as simple as like giving our monitors flashlights so that way they can see around when we're actually operating. You know, Travis usually provided that. And the guy who has been out. And our first night, none of the monitors had flashlights, so they had no idea, like, you know, they couldn't see anything. And so it's, you know, we appreciate everyone being here and doing everything that they do. So, yeah.
You know, I know that Ohio, and I've heard and actually read that they have the most haunted attractions throughout any state in our country. Can you elaborate on this a little bit for us?
That is very true. And I think the reason for that is because, you know, Ohio is like, when everyone thinks of Halloween, they either think of New England or like Ohio. You know, Freddy Krueger's from Ohio. Ray Bradbury's from, or, you know, he's not from Ohio, but all of his horror stories are set in Ohio, just about. Like, short of, you know, the Salem witch trials and, like Sleepy Hollow, everything else is in Ohio. It's just, when you think of Halloween, you think of Ohio. In Ohio, people just love Halloween here, and so everyone makes haunted houses. And yeah, I can't remember how many there are, but like a couple years ago I checked and it was over 100 haunted houses. Like I think Maine has 1 out of the whole state. So hey.
So, you know, it's probably dedicated to Stephen King if it's in Maine, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, there's another New England reference to horror. So yeah.
So, Eric, you know, you do this in the state of Ohio. What makes you guys and kind of separates you from the rest of the clan out there that does this? And what really brings those people to you instead of going to those other haunted houses? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of competition, and that's, I think, why we're all so tired. When they first started this haunted house, it was just the original building, and we had 5 rooms. 5 scenes, and you know, it took you about 3 minutes to go through, and we've expanded like exponentially since then, just so that we can keep up with all these other haunted houses. And we're a charity haunted house. We're actually a dying breed. So unfortunately, everyone else in the area, I don't know, or fortunately, it depends on how you look at it, every other haunted house in the area is pretty much like a for-profit haunted house. So they have like a budget to work with. We have, you know, whatever people leave out on the side of the road during garbage night to work with, and our, you know, and our ideas. So, like, if you go to other haunted houses, you'll see, like, like I don't like to, talk a lot of smack about other haunted houses, but like you'll go to these haunted houses and you'll see the exact same props at a lot of the places because, they'll go to, one of the big haunters conventions and they all see something like the newest, latest and greatest prop. And they're like, oh yeah, we need that for our haunted house. And so every single person buys that prop. We don't have the money to buy it. So what we do is we try to think of our own ideas and we make them. Fun fact though is we do have a spinning tunnel, and that was like a big thing like about 20 years ago. That's when they came out and everyone was getting these big spinning tunnels, and we had a guy who was a master welder who used to work, he used to volunteer here, and he decided one day that he was going to make one of these tunnels. And the thing is a work of genius, and it's probably one of the better tunnels around. When one of the smaller other charity haunts closed down in the area, we inherited all their stuff. And they actually had one of these one of these tunnels that you could buy. And it is in no way as great as ours. So it's just one of the many things that you could find here that are like completely unique.
So, Eric, I realize that there is an inside section and an outside section of this Mount Healthy Haunted Hall, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, the property has actually expanded throughout the years. When the longtime residents who were here when the hall first started, when they moved out next door, the Knights of Columbus actually bought their property because we were afraid that whoever was going to be the neighbors were not going to like the haunted house being here. And so we ended up buying that house. And then what ended up happening is they had a huge backyard. It used to be like a big old garden. We ended up keeping that backyard and then selling the rest of the property. And those neighbors, they don't mind us at all anymore. And then there was another longtime neighbor on the other side of us who she was an old woman, and she ended up having to go to a nursing home, and they donated the house to us. We've inherited all of this space in the backyard. And we put these two big semi-trailers in the back to keep all of our stuff throughout the season because we fill this place up like completely, like all these walls and everything. And like it used to be plastic that we put up, but due to fire code, we cannot use the plastic anymore. And we had to build these like walls and it's like kind of like Legos. We have like a set like standard for walls. We have a 4x8 wall, 2x8 wall, 2x6 wall, 4x6 wall, and then like a 1x8 wall. And all of our plans involve all of these sizes of walls. We hardly ever like use any awkward, weird sizes. Every once in a while, we'll have to build something because the plans don't go according to plan. But anyway, we kept all of the walls and everything in the back trailers there, and we realized, hey, that's kind of cool. Like we could probably put the trail behind these trailers and between these trailers. And we also started buying these big army tents from like Vietnam. I think they're about like 15 feet by 30 feet. And we were able to put like a whole nother like haunted house in those tents. We have about 3 up right now. At one time when we had a lot more people helping us out, and a lot more free time, we had 6 up at a time. And so it was like going through of like the 3 original haunted houses plus the backyard trail. It's pretty extensive. I think it usually takes around 20 minutes to get through now. It used to be a lot longer. We have a blackout maze too, so depending on if you get lost in that, your trip could be longer or shorter, depending on how good you are at finding your way out. So.
Eric, throughout your whole building and facility and where people come through and see all these scary attractions, and I know you guys do an unbelievable job, do you have a favorite room that just sticks out to you that you just really love when you guys get this thing all together?
Oh, so yes, I do. Well, since we like build this thing from the ground up every single year, we change what rooms we have every single year. But there are some staples that are around every season. One of them is Dracula. Some of my earliest memories of this place. is being scared by Count Dracula, and so that's always a favorite. But I think my personal favorite is the Mad Doctor. It's just so fun to play. You can just gross people out, and it's always there's always a lot to see. I work at a nursing home, so whenever they throw things out, a lot of times I'll bring that stuff in, like medical things, and people have made like Jacob's ladders and all sorts of different cool looking like Frankenstein, like Dr. Frankenstein looking contraptions. But unfortunately, we don't have that scene this year because we have a theme for this year, which is oh man, I'm gonna butcher it. It's like a nautical theme this year. It's I don't want to mention any other haunted houses in the area, but they're always a nautical theme. And we decided, hey, why do they get all the fun? Pirates are one of those Halloween staples. So we wanted to do a nautical theme as well. And so that's what we have this year. And unfortunately, a Mad Doctor didn't really quite fit in with the nautical theme, but we somehow managed to get Dracula in it. He has his his little room on the cruise ship. That's what we have. And that's another thing too. Our haunted house is not like full on scary. I mean, don't get me wrong, we will scare you, but we've kind of been described as like a PG-13 haunted house. We're a lot of like children's first haunted houses. There's enough there to scare adults and everything, but there's also a lot of like funny things to scare kids and entertain kids, and a lot of adults who are sorry, and a lot of adults who are not necessarily scared of things. There's still stuff here for them to be entertained by.
So Eric, tell me a little bit. So folks that are coming through, if they've never been here before, what are these families going to expect as they walk through the doors and they enter into your building? I mean, I know they're going to be scared just from what I see, but tell me a little bit about what these folks are going to experience when they get there to your facility.
Oh, yeah. Well, expect to be scared, but also expect to have a lot of fun and expect to laugh because there's a lot of veteran actors here that can really put on a show. That's a really unique thing about us. Like, we have people who've been around for like all 34 years, and we have people who, it would be their first night acting because, that's the nature of a charity haunt. You have your Boy Scouts or somebody from people from all these other different organizations, and they'll volunteer. Sometimes people only volunteer one night and they're done. They never want to volunteer again for various different reasons. But so you'll definitely expect. You should expect some very interesting actors. Some of them are a little novice. Some of them are the best actors in the city. Like, a lot of our actors get awards from the various different haunt reviewers every single year. I've been awarded a couple of times, actually, not to toot my own horn, but and we always have very unique scenes. Like, no one else has the unique scenes like we do. Like I said, a lot of the other haunted houses, they're all buying props from the same catalog. So you're kind of like limited with what you can do with these props. Whereas, like, if we find a piece of trash on the side of the road, we're like, oh, this looks like it. Like, right behind me, these are just crates, I think, from somebody's work. And we made this one. We put a motor in it, so it moves up and down. It looks like there's a creature in it. And we kind of did like an Abbott and Costello thing. Oh, there's a chainsaw revving in the back there. Well, we kind of did an Abbott and Costello thing where I think it was an Abbott and Costello meet one of them, the Wolfman or something like that. I know there's a million of them, but there's a scene right at the beginning where they're like in a warehouse with all these different like crates, and then like Count Dracula kind of pops out of the crate, and one of them sees it and the other one doesn't, and it's like it's like kind of like a who's on first type scenario. That's it was played for a lot of laughs, but like here it's kind of funny too. It's like you don't expect to see a mummy in like a storage facility. You expect to see a mummy in the pyramids. Like, I can guarantee you no other haunted house has their mummy in a storage facility. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you be the judge.
Eric, it was so good talking to you. You guys do an unbelievable job there at the Mount Healthy Haunted Hall. We'll be sending everybody over there to see you, and we're looking forward to seeing you next year in 2023.
Yep, we may not be the biggest, but we certainly are the best.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back here at the Elegant Home Podcast. Scary Halloween weekend. Are you looking for that new truck, maybe that new Silverado, or maybe even that new Trail Boss? I'm telling you, those new Trail Boss look really good. You got to stop out and see my good friend Rob Marshall at Marshall Chevrolet in Carrollton, Kentucky. Their team is bar none the best. I've bought all my vehicles for the Elegant Home Podcast right there, and I'm telling you, these guys get it done. Have you looked at their social media lately? They are shipping vehicles out the door left and right, and I'm telling you, their vehicles are top notch. I love Marshall Chevrolet in Carrollton, Kentucky, and I'll tell you why. They treat me and the Elegant Home Podcast like family. So stop out and see Rob and the gang, and they'll take care of you. And make sure you tell them that Don Riley, and I'm going to say it again, Don Riley from the Elegant Home Podcast sent you and your family to Rob Marshall Chevrolet in Carrollton, Kentucky.
The Marshall Auto Group has grown into one of the largest dealer groups in the state of Kentucky, and we're right in your backyard. With locations in Dry Ridge, Crittenden, and Florence, we're convenient and easy to get to. Plus, we have hundreds of new and used vehicles priced to make it worth your drive. We're a family-run business, making us easy to deal with. Come see us. Marshall Dry Ridge Toyota, Marshall Chrysler Dodge, Jeep and Ram, Marshall Motors of Florence, and Marshall Power Sports. The Marshall Auto Group, easy to get to, easy to deal with.
Welcome back to Elegant Homes. We took a short break there, and, it's a scary weekend here at the Elegant Home Podcast, man. It gets me thinking, gets my blood boiling a little bit, thinking about the 80s and some of these shows that I was really freaked out about. And I don't know if you were, if you grew up in the 80s, one of these shows that really scared me was Unsolved Mysteries. I don't know why, but my mother used to watch that all the time. And Robert Stack, I don't know if you remember, he had that real deep voice. They could be in a neighborhood near you. And he would say, he just would grab your attention. And, just like some of these characters in some of these slasher films, I mean, they would get to me. Freddy, Jason, some of those guys, just scary, scary stuff. But something about Unsolved Mysteries, man, just got me scared to death. And I remember Mom being in the night robe. And I was raised by a single mom, and she would be on the couch. She would just get up and go to bed, and I'd be stuck out there watching this Unsolved Mysteries. My sister would be in bed. She was little at the time, and I would just be scared to death. So I'd bundle up my cover, and I'd go peek out that little door. We had this wood door with this little square window, and I'd just peek out it and keep peeking to make sure that whoever was loose in the neighborhood wasn't coming after me. And used to scare me to death. But, I think each and every one of us has a little bit of that scare in us. There's certain things that just scare us, right? And if you say, I'm a tough guy and I don't get scared, well, I don't believe you, because everybody's got a little part of them that gets scared about something. But I tell you what these guys are doing in some of these, these haunted houses and the attractions you go to, it's unbelievable, some of the things they do to really put on a great show and scare you. So I'm just, I love Halloween. I think there's a part of it that's really great because you can be creative. You can go outside your typical character, and you can really put a scare to somebody. And a lot of people love doing it. I even know when I was a kid, I used to love putting a mask on and scaring my sister and jumping out of the closet door, and scaring her. So anyway, so this has been a great, funky, scary Halloween weekend right here on the Elegant Home Podcast, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time. And make sure you stop out and see those guys over there at the Mount Healthy Haunted Hall. They're doing a great job, and we'll see you next time here at the Elegant Home Podcast. I'm Don Riley, where we make every home elegant, one home at a time.